Assalamu alaikum everyone and welcome to Scottish Muslim Professional Network's first podcast. With everyone fatigued out and having one or too many Zoom calls, we thought why not try this a show? And it's a pleasure to be here with our first supporting guest and couple, Shahbaz and Iram Mirza. Now for those who are new to Scottish Muslim Professional Network, we are a group of Scottish Muslim professionals who aim to develop motivated and goal-oriented professionals in order to prepare future industry leaders. For our listeners, as mentioned, this is Scottish Muslim Professionals Network first podcast, and we are looking forward to creating more podcasts going forward. However, we would love to hear your thoughts and suggestions on topics of interest for us to take on board and discuss further. So please feel free to drop a comment below. Now, today's topic is about Ramadan. We know from last year the way we handled Ramadan and work has changed immensely, and whether it's for the better or for the worse. Take this topic for further, I would like to introduce you to our guest and couple, Shahbaz and Iram Mirza. Firstly, a quick brief on both. Shahbaz has been consulting for the last 10 years and currently specialising in transformation and business change. He's also the founder of Ramadan Legacy, which we'd like to hear further about later on. And not only has he got a busy career, he is also a dad. Iram is an auditor at PwC for 5 years now, and she also leads the D&I initiative at the company. And she's also a qualified chartered accountant. Getting all my words mixed up there. Again, like Shahbaz, Iram is not only a working professional, but she is also a mum. Assalamu alaikum to you both, and thank you so much for taking part in supporting the Scottish Muslim Professional Network's first podcast.
Walaikum salam.
Walaikum assalam. Thanks for having us.
Oh, no, more than welcome. If anything, you're our guest. So as mentioned, today's topic is on Ramadan. Fasting while working virtually, tips on dealing with a fast while working from home, embracing Ramadan in the corporate environment, etc. I mean, the list is endless. So let's first start off with the basic question. What does Ramadan mean to you? And I'll hand over to, are we having a bit of a discussion who's going to go first?
Go first.
So the question was, what does Ramadan mean to us?
Yeah.
So Ramadan it's the holiest month of the Islamic calendar, and so for us it means that we sort of recharge our spiritual selves. We get in touch with that side again. We fast, of course, for the month. And we try to engage in as much worship as possible, while sort of maintaining our sort of day-to-day tasks and activities as well.
Yeah. I think for us it's meant different things in different years. Now it's celebrating it as a family with our little one, and being able to share it more with our kind of friends and colleagues as well. I think when you kind of grow up slowly throughout the years, you start sharing Ramadan more and more with the people around you, with like your neighbors, people in your network, your colleagues as well. But when you're younger, it's kind of just like you, your mom, dad, and siblings. So for me, or for us, it's just about kind of carrying on that whole theme of connectivity to God, but also to other people as well.
Yeah.
Great. So from last year, like going into the working kind of environment, we were all virtual, working from home. It was the first time ever our generation has experienced that, our plus our parents' generation, who's had to sit in the house for the full 24 hours, 7 days a week and fasting. I mean, how was that experience for yourself?
So last year, luckily enough, I was still on maternity leave.
Okay.
Came around. Well, it was still a challenge because it was, I guess, my first year as a mum, and having to fast as well at the same time. And of course, it was during lockdown as well, so I knew that my husband was working from home, so I had to kind of deal with that, him working in one room and me trying to look after Sammy in the other, and we're both fasting and stuff as well. But why don't you share you were actually working?
Yeah, no, I found it very difficult. Even though you would think that would be more relaxing being at home, I found it very difficult, especially because of like being zoomed out, as you said at the start, Shamaila. Being like having to fast and talk is talk more than what you normally would have, interact with people more than what you normally would have. I found it very difficult. Anyone that put like a 8:30 a.m. or 9 a.m. meeting in my diary was just like, I had their name on a dartboard at some point, because I was like, why are you doing this to me? And I still remember like one day, like waking up, I woke up at around, I think it was about 8:30, and I looked at my phone and I saw there was a meeting in my diary for 8:45. And I thought, no ways. And I just to very, very quickly get ready. I did the meeting, but I was just sat there and I was like, my goodness, like I cannot do this for the rest of Ramadan. So yeah, it was. I found it quite difficult, even though we were at home. Yeah.
So it was definitely testing patience, wasn't it? Well, what do you think your workplace could have done better at acknowledging the fact that there are people there fasting at that time and try to avoid those meetings? Do you think that was an education thing on their behalf, or ignorance to an extent?
Yeah, so I think firms and organisations like do have a responsibility, I guess, to support the kind of the Muslim colleagues that they have, the Muslim employees that they have, and just to know that Ramadan is around the corner, to kind of notify everyone of that, either in the kind of newsletters or whatever, any kind of social events that they have, and just letting everyone know and how they can support them as well. But equally, I feel that the onus is on us as well to educate them, because there isn't really any way of them to know if we don't tell them how we're feeling and what kind of support we need. And even for us, as the months move from like winter into summer and summer into winter, like Ramadan moves around, there's those needs of ours change as well. So that again, we can't expect our employees or our colleagues to know, like we should be the one telling them. I think was it last year, the year before, Ramadan fell just around sort of exam times for pupils and stuff. So that would affect our kind of working professional teachers as well. So that sort of thing, we need to be the ones kind of putting the step forward and kind of informing
them aware. Yeah, agree, of what you need and stuff. I mean, I think it all probably depends, do you think, on the kind of relationship you have with your manager as such, or the top levels. Like my personal experience is I touch wood, alhamdulillah, have a really good relationship with my manager, and I've already said to her, like from the beginning, day one this year, that this is when Ramadan's roughly starting, and that's when I'm going to be taking more time off work, to prepare her in advance. So if there's backlogs of work, or how are we going to arrange working with her team, so she was very well prepared. And I wish she obviously appreciated that, because I have already given the warning. And they are my days to take off. I know it's holidays, and I think, should I be using my holidays for Ramadan? But that's my own choice. And what better month to use your holidays, right? But yeah, that's what I did. And now she's fully prepared about the fact that I'll be doing 3, maybe a 4-day week. And it's helping me, but I just don't know if other businesses or other companies have that flexibility. Would you say your workplaces understand?
I think at my firm, at PwC, they're very accommodating. I think because they're like a global firm, they have that kind of responsibility as well to support their Muslim counterparts, their Muslim colleagues. And so they do more, they kind of go above and beyond really to try and support all the Muslims who are working for them. They have Muslim networks, they have diversity and inclusion initiatives in place, and they raise awareness of it as well. So yeah, they're definitely supportive. What about yourself?
Yeah, I think last year, reflecting on like what you just said, Shmaila, I probably should have just sent an email and had the confidence to send an email to everyone and say, look, like, this is me, this is what's happening. You're going to expect me to, I don't know, yawn during meetings, be a bit more tired, not doing meetings at like 8:30 in the morning, and just have that confidence. The firm that I work for at the moment, as it's, is still kind of maturing, trying to get to kind of a big global kind of corporate, and still in that maturing process, and don't see some initiatives, but not many. So I think it comes from, it definitely has to come from the top. I think what would have been nice in any kind of role or job that I've had is for other people to kind of know and be aware and tell me, oh, Shahbaz, like I heard on the news, it's Ramadan's coming up, like, you know, how are you feeling about that? That's never really happened. But equally, equally, like, I think when you see in the news that it's, you know, Diwali or Chinese New Year or whatever, like you do reach out to people and you kind of strike up a conversation on those topics with them. But I just feel as if a bit more like camaraderie, a bit more kind of like friendliness in the workplace about it would be good. But the other thing is, like, sometimes I feel it's not about the confidence telling your manager or telling your work. I think it's a performance issue. Like, you know, in Ramadan, your performance is not going to be as good as what it is in the other months. My biggest fear factor in telling my work, or any person telling their work about Ramadan, is that it comes with that baggage, you know, like it comes with that baggage that, you know, going to need, I don't know, extra long breaks, this, that, and the next thing. I think that might be one of the fear factors that people have in expressing that, you know, they're going to be fasting in the workplace.
Yeah, I understand, but then it shouldn't be the case that one festive is better than the other from other religious aspects as such either. So again, I mean, is it, you had mentioned like workplace accommodating it from top downwards, but is that the case if you've not got, say, a Muslim leadership in that area in the top? So it maybe be that it has to be bottom upwards. Does that make sense? Because again, I suppose this is why this community is there, to try and get people in those top areas and kind of, you know, take away all the barriers that come with it. But I know there's some companies, people challenge others to say fast with me for a day, and not many last though, do they? So yeah. But I agree with that whole point about people might think it's going to affect their work and the effectiveness of it. So maybe that's why people are maybe not frightened as such, just want to be better safe than sorry in case it does go against them.
Yeah, I think what you said about your kind of manager relationship is key here. And just in general, like as Muslims, perhaps we don't have the best like interpersonal skills when it comes to work, when it comes to personal life as well. I think there's a whole kind of area to be explored there. But I think having good relationships with people at work it definitely helps. So I remember last year, like my line manager, like halfway through Ramadan, did call me and he said, Shahbaz, how are you coping? Like, it's Ramadan. Like, how are you even coping right now? We're so busy. And goes, I'm not coping. I'm not coping at all. I'm just about hanging on to the edge. And yeah, I kind of love him and appreciate him for saying that as well. But I think, yeah, I think personally it is a confidence thing. I think whether you're very practicing or early on in your, you know, whatever journey of Islam, you can always still have that confidence issue of kind of telling people about your faith, and faith in the workplace in general is like a big topic that needs to be tackled. Yeah.
So what can we do to make most of Ramadan while working from home?
Make the most of Ramadan. Gosh. Sure. I think just taking advantage of being at home again, and just like, we're not rushing to the mosques to pray Tarawih, so we should, you know, spend that extra time doing other worship that we would have normally maybe not been able to do because we're rushing around, and we're not doing iftaris for anyone. So again, that's time that we've got back this time as well. And just if we are working from home, again, we're not having to commute, so that's more time that we've got on our hands. So, and just doing zikr as well, like when we are tired and we can't like be bothered to get up and do wudu again to go read the Quran, like let's just keep our you know, keep doing zikr, sorry, and just doing other acts of worship as well, of kindness around our family members and things, and just knowing that that is also adding to the reward.
Yeah, I think like trying to build a good routine every day in line with, you know, what your workplace is like. So if you can be flexible in how you do your day to day, maybe you want to start your work after Seri and be done by midday if that was possible. I'm not sure. Or maybe you want to sleep in a wee bit, start from 10 to 6. Just adopt a routine that works for you based on like your peak performance levels throughout the day. But I think in general, like working from home, it has been positive in the sense that you have flexibility to do your prayers, do extra acts of worship at home. The negative is the amount of times you have to kind of go on your laptop for a call or for a meeting. So that kind of, your day is always very disrupted and very broken down, which I find to be quite challenging. So I think having a bit of a routine, having a bit of a plan every day in Ramadan for the work that you need to do, but also your worship as well, that can sort of just help keep things on track for everyone, to make sure that they don't miss out and they don't sort of they don't perform bad at work, but also they don't perform bad in their worship as well.
That kind of moves on to the other question that I was going to ask, like about work-life balance, and if there is a balance, and then if you're not very good at balancing that just now, when Ramadan comes, it's next level pressure, isn't it, to an extent? So how best like can, again, I think it goes back to your answer there. It's all about routine, but making sure you stick to that routine is more important. Would you say that? Yeah. The other thing is, like, we all obviously are now working and living in the same, under the same room. If anything, probably just one room and one window. That's what you've got. You spend a lot of your time there, and we're in a comfort space. So switching away from work mode to actually going in and either praying or just actually getting out of the house. What's like, what I'm basically trying to ask, what do you think would be more important? Is try to get that fresh air sometimes, or then try to pray and juggling all with it? Would that, is there any tips that you could give with that?
Yeah, I think it's part of our it's very it's weird because like I remember last Ramadan, yes, like work was very hectic. Ramadan's hectic. We've got very long fasting hours in Scotland, but at the same time, being at home made it quite kind of manageable, and having not to travel and do this, that, and the next thing. I think we were so knackered last year. We didn't go out for walks and stuff like that. We were just fine, like having enough rest and stuff, and having to
Just catching up on sleep.
and catching up on sleep, like for naps halfway through the day. But yeah, I would definitely say that you can go out. One of my friends like kind of goes out and goes for walks at the same time. He might, I know, give charity to someone or do dhikr along the way as he's walking. Definitely like implementing those practices during Ramadan would be good. I still remember like years ago, even during Ramadan, you still go out and play football and things like that as well. So just like continue on with your day to day. Don't see it as a burden. See it as just another kind of thing that a set of things that you're not doing that you would normally do, and which do impact, you know, your headaches and all this, that, and the next thing, but don't let it kind of control you. And just sort of just sort of get on with it and try and create the right environment for the right month ahead so that you can perform well.
So the best advice probably in regards to working and fasting during Ramadan is try and reach out to your manager, I guess, and build either, if you don't have a relationship, to discuss the situation at hand. I suppose you don't need to go through the ins and outs of how you feel, etc. Just need to let them be aware. Listen, I'm not going to be eating or drinking for X amount of time. Bear with me, be patient. I would probably block my calendar out, Shahbaz, in the mornings, by the way, so people think you already got a meeting, right?
Yeah,
And I avoid that quite.
that would work.
Right.
No, I think being honest, like let's be honest with ourselves here. Some people are in certain environments whereby things are more structured. You know, I have a structured day-to-day job. The workplace that they're currently working for are supportive, but there's such a spectrum of people that work. There's people in businesses, people in the corporate world, senior people, junior people, graduates, experienced professionals. So everyone is in a different boat. I feel as if no one's in the same boat at all. There's several boats that we're all kind of sitting in. I don't think there's a kind of one size fits all approach or answer. Some people don't have a great relationship with their manager. Some people just don't have the confidence to speak to their manager about anything else, like a pay rise or a promotion or your annual performance review, whatever it may be. So coming to talk to your manager about something that's 1400 years old in your faith, that I don't think that's an easy thing to do. Like, I'm very practicing, but I've always found it difficult to talk about my faith in the workplace, because in the workplace it's about work, it's not really about faith. I think, like, in general, like, two massive problems I see. First problem is corporates don't engage with their employees about what they do outside of work. Like, employee engagement in general is quite low. And then the second thing is faith in the workplace as well. It's just not often spoken about compared to other kind of issues or other agendas that the workplace wants to push out.
Yeah, I think it's almost avoided. It's like politics. So they don't speak about faith and politics and football. Basically, it's like one of those type of things that no one wants to kind of say what their opinion is. But I also think that what you said initially, Shmaila, about just taking your annual leave. I think there's lots of professions even during lockdown who will have to still travel into work. All the NHS workers, all our teachers, and other business owners and things as well. They'll still have to kind of do their day-to-day by going traveling and meeting facing people as well. So for them, they don't have the option of just working from home or taking a rest in the middle of the day or going for a walk and things. So yeah, why not just take that time, take your annual leave to take time out of the holy month, and that way then you're not answering to anyone, you're just taking your annual leave, even if it's just for the last 2 weeks of the month, so that you can engage in your worship and catch
Do you
up on
think
that.
that's, like, fair? I don't think
I
it's
mean, I
fair.
don't think it's fair, but I think for them who have to actually travel into work, that's the only option they have at
But
the moment.
I think that, like, in certain workplaces, you can take unpaid leave if you want to go, mountain climbing for a month or traveling for a couple of months, or you want to take a sabbatical. But there's global companies I've worked for where I asked for unpaid leave in Ramadan and it was rejected. And it was rejected because they said, if every Muslim was to ask for unpaid leave during this month, then it would have this kind of void in the company. But why is that? Like, why is it that if we have 20 days or 25 days or 30 days of annual leave and we need to take half of that in a month that's just incredibly intense anyway? I feel that's very unfair. I feel that I do that to kind of sacrifice my personal time so that, I am keeping in line with my faith, but
It shouldn't have to be
it
like
shouldn't have to be like that.
Agree with you. But
Yeah.
then again, it'll all be what different workplaces are willing to do for that community as such. And then I suppose, Iram, you're involved in a D&I initiative, and if people had that in their workplace and got involved with that, that might give them a little bit more, not an advantage to get time off work, but a little bit more support as such.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, well, that only started in 2019 in Scotland.
Right.
So before that, I mean, I've been working at PwC since 2015. And there wasn't really, I mean, not even a single communication would go out to say, oh, by the way, Ramadan's coming up, and if you've got any Muslim colleagues in your teams, like, just make sure to kind of reach out to them and make sure that you're supporting them and stuff. And I think it took for me actually to speak to one of the kind of more senior members of the firm, one of the partners, and we were talking, it was just at the end of a social, and I think I just spoke to her casually, like, oh, by the way, Ramadan's coming up, and you know, I've not really seen anything go out about that, but we're speaking about all these other socials. And she was actually really like interested. She was like, oh yeah, no, I do know. And my little girl, she's been speaking all about it because they're saying it about it at her school. But they're not, but no, but I'm surprised myself that no one said it at the farm. So that's so, you know, would you be kind enough to chat with me for like 10 minutes and just like, so that I can understand more about it, and then we can definitely try and put some comms out about it, some communication in the next newsletter and stuff. And I was like, yeah, of course. Like I was like, oh yeah, that would be great. And like I thought that I would get backlash, but I didn't. Like she was actually very supportive, but I think she just didn't want to, you know, like I think she was just nervous as well to talk about it, but because I just kind of opened that door for her, she was kind of happy to listen to me as well. So it's like a two-way thing. And now, like, alhamdulillah, they're doing a lot more now in terms of just bringing awareness to Ramadan and what that means for colleagues, and not just colleagues, but their clients as well. You know, they need to understand that their clients will be fasting and stuff. So actually, if anything, it makes PwC appear to be more like inclusive to the external network as well. So it works to their advantage.
Yeah, definitely. Like you say, it's a two-way thing. And it helped that you had the children involved in there as well, because if you educate the youngsters, hopefully in the next generation, they'll know more about the different religions and different cultures, etc. So yeah, okay, great. So just to kind of finish off here, I was wondering if Shahbaz, you could give us a little bit more about the Ramadan legacy that you have you funded.
Yeah, Ramadan Legacy is it's a small company and focuses on three key things. First thing is we used to have a mobile app just to help Muslims with their worship in the month of Ramadan, but we're currently kind of redeveloping that now. Secondly, we create like planners, like journals, tools just for Muslims in the workplace or not in the workplace to just have that routine, that kind of process of reflecting, acting, doing in the month of Ramadan. And we also do workshops as well. So and what's been really positive over the past kind of few months is we do workshops with a lot of corporates now. So we did one at PwC, we did one at Procter and Gamble, and also with the UK government as well, predominantly with their Muslim network. And what we do is it's funny, like we do it for the Muslim network so that they have that confidence and structure so that they feel that they can, you know, conquer their work and worship at the same time. So yeah, alhamdulillah, it's been going well now for a number of years, and inshallah, hope in the future that it becomes a force for good, so that we can use Ramadan as a kind of cornerstone in the year to talk about faith in the workplace. It doesn't just become a once in the year communication thing, but something that's within the DNA of our workplaces going forward in the future.
That sounds great. Okay. Well, just to then wrap it up, I suppose with the whole work-life balance in Ramadan, best thing is, like we suppose the overall comes down to, in conclusion, is just having a good routine. Start off with a good routine. If anything, start it off earlier rather than before Ramadan starts, and follow through for the next 30 days. And inshallah, everyone could sail through this. And as well as will continue on progressing with their work and family lives and kids and whatnot. So guys, thank you so much for coming and being our first ever guests and couple for our podcast. It's been amazing, and hopefully we could reunite soon with maybe another topic. And again, lovely speaking with you. And thank you for everyone listening to our Scottish Muslim Professional Network's first ever podcast. And like I said, if you've got any suggestions or topics of interest, please feel free to comment below. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Salaam,
you.
everyone. Take care.